Hello again, Andy with Handy Andy, Handyman, Handy Andy on Demand, and welcome back to a project follow-up. We just rebuilt a deck for Mr. Gary over here in East Cobb, Marietta. You know, and if you've got a deck being built, really anywhere in the country, this advice is going to apply. Pay your guys a little bit extra and have them pre-drill every one of your boards with pilot holes and countersink the screws, and you're going to have a deck that's going to last you a lifetime if you take care of it. Really all you have to do is, like on a deck like this one here, unfortunately this homer has really a beautiful deck now, and it broke our hearts that we had to rip it out. We could have saved some of his wood. It was old growth wood, and you really want to save that old pressure treated wood that was made 20 years ago because there's arsenic in it, and it'll last a lifetime. You can take pieces of wood like that and stick it in a bucket of water for a year and it'll still be good. The new stuff doesn't hold up like that. We're only using, there's two grades of pressure treated out here pretty much, select and premium. And well, there's three. You know, builder grade is the worst, and unfortunately that's a lot of wood that gets used out here. There's a real run on pressure treated wood right now because of coronavirus. They've slowed manufacturing, and a lot of people like Mr. Gary are sitting home saying, hey, this is a good time to get some work done. And so it's really hard to find this stuff. Fortunately, we have private sources that we've used for years, and we get materials driven into us from other parts of the country when there's a shortage here in Atlanta. But on this particular deck, it was about 15 or 20 years old. And if you go to the earlier video, you can see where all the wood was split because when they installed it, they just nailed it, and they air nailed it. And for most of you as consumers, when you have a deck built, it's so pretty and nice when it's built, you don't notice all the splits in the wood. And if you hire what I call tiki-taco contractors, these guys were waiting tables last week, or maybe they were installing carpet last week, and now they sold you a deck at a cheap price. There's nothing cheap in this business. And so if you go the cheap route, you're probably going to have a problem. Now, if you're selling your house in a year, or you're flipping something, or you're a builder, you're always going to go with the cheapest for the most part, unless you're quality flippers like us. We flip houses, we do everything top shelf. So of his railing, we saved a couple of these boards here, and you can see these were air nailed, but they didn't split it too badly. But see how far sunken down it is? That's from the air nailer. When you look at what the boys did over here, these are all star bit screws. They're all countersunk in. And we added these risers. He didn't have risers here before. And part of the purpose of a riser on deck treads like this is it'll actually help support the tread above. And so if you looked at the earlier videos, he had a few of these treads that were splitting that we had to replace. So the boys came back through and we repaired these stairs for him. We didn't charge him for that. You know, he had a contract with us to do the railing. And you can see what our guys do. We don't even put this in our bids, but the guys come out. My guys are craftsmen. A lot of these guys have been with us for over 20 years. We got a crew, my brother and I have a crew of 30 people, and we've been doing this stuff in Metro Atlanta for 27 years. So you look at this handrail, they've taken their sanders out and they've beveled the edges. It's kind of hard to see in the video. So it's nice and smooth all the way up through. Same thing down here. Nice and smooth all the way down through. See they rounded the edges down here? I don't even have to put that in their work orders because they know to do that. But everything on here is pilot hole, countersunk screws all the way through, all new wood. Now there's a board right here, and we just can't help this. This is even with premium wood right now. See the split up the middle of this board? We're probably going to have to come back here in a few years from Mr. Gary and just replace that board. But right now it's just so hard to get wood. We had a fit getting the wood for this particular deck, and we're in July right now. So for the last month or so, it's been really hard to get pressure treated wood in Metro Atlanta. The other thing you'll see on our deck here, we've done, this is T111 siding, and so it wasn't flashed. This screen porch was added, built over the top of the original deck, and it was never flashed, neither here or back at the house back there. So this is what we call a pressure treated flashing plate. And my brothers cut that down from a piece of pressure treated 2x6 and beveled and cut it. So any wood that hits here up against the siding hits the top of that flashing plate and kicks out a few inches away from the house where it can just drain away. Same thing back here. And he's got a pretty decent overhang at the back side of the house. But doing a plate like this totally obviates the need for flashing. And that's why we do it. But as you look at this wood, if you're having a deck built, go look at your deck. everywhere you see a circle where screws come through, you're going to see splits in the wood. Look at this wood. Outside of that one board, there's no splits in this wood because this is premium product. And you'll pay for that. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. You know, across this whole deck, I see one split right here on the back corner. And it just is what it is with some of this wood right now. We cull through this stuff, and it's honestly, it's impossible to get good wood. This is great compared to, we just rejected a load this week that they delivered it to us, and I'm fighting with them right now because we won't use it. And then what we did here where the deck was, if I can come across here, we cut this threshold piece in here, and unfortunately the joists were running in a direction that we had to go a little wider in that threshold than I wanted to, but it made for a decent transition piece, and we were able to secure. So really what he had to do is he had to cut it back to the furthest point, the shortest point that he could secure those inside deck boards, and then piece that piece in there. So that's what my brother has done. My brother is actually on this crew. So, but Mr. Gary is just another customer, and so many times when you're dealing with contractors, you just don't know what you got until you can see the project like this. And unless you know what you're talking about, a lot of homeowners just don't know what they're buying. A deck is not a deck is not a deck. You know, it's, people think if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, it is a duck. And that's only true in terms of bad quality work. As you start watching the videos and you start seeing projects, this homeowner, one of the reasons he hired us is he's a professional architect. So he deals with this stuff day in and day out. And ours was the only bid that spoke his language and that was completely thorough and addressed everything that he wanted addressed in a deck. The only thing that we didn't envision was suddenly having a hard time getting the wood. But the company does everything. Our guys are craftsmen. We've got several master carpenters here with 20, 30 years of experience under the belt. We got a master licensed electrician and plumber part of our team. We pretty much do everything except swimming pools and air conditioning. We finally came out today to shoot the video because we were making Mr. Gary a little nervous. We had a whole bunch of trash piled up in that corner there that we couldn't get to. Our trailer was down, and one of the fellows had a real bad tooth last Friday, so here we are Monday coming out to get it. But we pretty much do everything. We cover the metro Atlanta area. We started to move into some other areas. If you know fellows that are men or women that like this kind of industry, we're training salespeople, we're training workers to come do stuff our way. I think we're one of the few companies in our industry that's growing. We're busy as can be. And part of it is because of customers like Mr. Gary and the quality of our work and the things that our guys do. You can reach us at 770-912-2829. Or you can catch me sometimes at 770-265-9017. I'm Andy. See you at the next house. Bye for now.